I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed as a scientist, despite having a wealth of scientific literature, we as a society don't know how to use that knowledge to improve our lives. Please raise your hand if you have ever been sick in your life. I'm sorry to ask this question, and thank you. More or less, we all are experienced patients from colds to fevers, and we know how being a patient journey is going to end. We go to a doctor, take a sick note, get some medications, and return to be healthy again. Sounds like a great system. The system was designed for acute diseases, to respond to and to treat symptoms. The system doesn't cure diseases when it comes to chronic diseases. Although it's remarkable to see how our healthcare has moved from medieval times to the age of AI. It's remarkable to see how the alliance of science and our healthcare together has allowed us to live more than 40 years in one lifespan. But many of us are living in pain and misery. So how do we move towards a future, a better future for all of us? I'm going to tell you a story. I grew up in a very small village in Pakistan. My mother raised me as a single parent by working as a polio vaccination worker. My childhood revolved around chickens, goats, cows, climbing trees, and picking up mangoes. My grandmother lived with us, and she suffered from a strange pain in her legs, as long as I can remember, until she died. She would tie her legs with her scarf so tight so she won't feel the pain. She would cry, complain, ask for help, and live in that misery that I wouldn't understand. Once in a while, when she has an opportunity to go to a hospital, she would get sleeping pills. At least that's what my mother told me. That was her treatment plan. Take a pill, lie down, and don't complain. But that's not the patient experience we want to bring into future. Fast forward to end of 2019, I had moved to Germany from Pakistan with a national German scholarship, and I was about to finish my PhD. This was a big deal for me and my mother because I'm the first woman in my family who ever visited a university and in another country. 2 weeks before my PhD defense, when I was preparing my celebrations, I find myself in similar pain in my legs. My pain was equally spread in my legs from top to bottom, and the pain intensity was going up and up every day. I didn't think about my grandmother. Why would I? It's just a pain. Maybe I'm tired. It will go away with some regular painkillers. Until it didn't for almost 3 years. Pain is an interesting symptom. When not treated, it can turn into a disease within 8 to 12 weeks. We call it chronic pain. I was suffering from a chronic pain, and we don't know any physiological connection. That's what a list of specialists told me after 2 years of waiting on appointments, having multiple surgeries, blood tests, and clinical visits. No diagnosis means no medication plan. Learn to live with your pain. It's not easy to live with a constant pain. Imagine you have a headache or you have a toothache that never goes away. Now I remembered my grandmother and her suffering. You are in a foreign country where people speak different language and eat different food. You are alone in pain. You are sitting on a wheelchair with so many dreams in your eyes. You don't have a diagnosis. Doctors can't help you. You are continuously comparing your legs to the rest of your body because it doesn't feel the same way. People have heard you complaining multiple times. The world has moved on, but not your pain. What would you do? Whatever you do, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself and give your bodies a chance. Find yourself a coping mechanism, a mechanism that helps you get through the days. I picked my grandmother's. I started tying my legs with every pain flare. I don't know why I did that. And I don't know how I ended up like that while living in a developed and progressive country. Where is this pain coming from? I kept asking myself. Chronic pain is a complex sensory and emotional experience. According to multiple scientific studies, one can feel chronic pain without having an actual tissue damage. It could be due to a trauma response, your genetics, your epigenetics, a toxin exposure, or a vitamin deficiency, or simple infections. Multiple possibilities. So what is your profession? One of the doctors asked. I'm a scientist, I said it proudly. Okay, if you are a scientist, then why don't you figure this out by yourself? He said, and they laughed. Okay, if I have to do your job, why don't you give me your job? I responded. Of course, my response was coming from a place of painful sarcasm. During these 2 painful years, I started working in a hospital and then later joined pharma industry. My doctor's words pushed me to learn anything and everything about pain medication. But I wanted to read literature because that's where I feel most comfortable. It took me a couple of hours until I find many articles like this. Exercise as medicine. This idea of exercise is certainly not new to us. The beneficial relationship between health and exercise has been well known, dated back to the 5th century BC, when Hippocrates said, "Eating alone will not keep a man well, he must also take exercise." But exercise as prescription medication was a new idea to me that day. The study reported alone physical therapy for 26 different chronic diseases, including chronic pain. And I started to wonder, how does this information not reach our patient, our common people who are suffering from pain? Why do these studies don't make headlines in our news channel? How come our healthcare is not keeping up with science? And why did my doctor didn't prescribe me any exercise in 2 years? As a scientist, that was sad for me. So I came up with a 3-step formula to help us fight the chronic pain that I call movement is medicine. Step 1 is to change our mindset. Our mindset towards exercise is optional. We all know we should do it, but we keep it on hold. I had my grandmother's mindset. I never saw a woman doing exercise while growing up in Pakistan. I was told, if you move, you will feel more pain. So how would I change my mindset about that? Scientific literature. Yes, scientific literature mentions if you move, soon you might have no pain. Hence, I did 2 things. 1, I accepted my pain, although it took me a long time. And second, I started moving like my life was dependent on that. It was the hardest thing I had to do. Harder than doing my PhD, harder than surviving in Germany, and harder than learning the German language. I would cry, want to hide, and want to feel miserable. But if you think in that moment that you are days away from that pain, you won't stop. So I started moving in my flat, to taking stairs, to going to a nearby park, and to started completing 10,000 daily steps to practicing yoga. It took me 4 months of consistent movement until I had first pause in my pain. It felt like magic after 2 years. That experience and that result changed my mindset about physical activity forever. Step 2 is to educate. According to World Health Organization, 20% of our population worldwide experience chronic pain, and we need to teach them methods beyond the pills. To help our patients, we also need to train our healthcare providers. I want to take this moment to appreciate and commend a clinic that I find in Hamm, Germany, for being an example. During my stay at Hamm's clinic, I learned how creating simple educational programs for patients can equip them with knowledge, hope, and pain management tools. As a patient, I could only push myself because I understood what this simple exercise was doing to my body. In order for our bodies to feel pain, we need a pain signal or a pain stimuli. That pain signal or pain stimuli goes through a neurological gate that's located in our spinal cord towards brain. And for our brain to decide on pain, needs to receive that signal. In simple words, when the gate is open, the signal is passed, and we experience pain. What if we close the gate? Our healthcare tries to achieve that with pain medication. And you can achieve that with moving your body, with simple physical activities like walking. Every time you feel pain, stand up and move your body, simply like you take a pill when you experience pain. And that's how my deep understanding of science helped me get rid of my chronic pain within 8 to 10 months of consistent movement that a bunch of doctors told me I can't reverse it. Step 3 is to add exercise as a prescription medication in our treatment plans because pain is expensive. Our healthcare and insurance pay roughly $635 billion every year. The way I overcame my pain is not impossible for many people. Simply, our healthcare struggles when it comes to chronic pain or chronic diseases because it wasn't designed for that. So we need an ally. We need a strong ally. Our healthcare needs an ally. And that ally is by adding exercise as a prescription medication in our future treatment plans. It should be communicated by healthcare providers, and it should be given to everyone as a basic human right. And we can achieve that. We can achieve that by combining our fitness industry together with our healthcare industry to provide every patient a feasible healthcare plan. Now that we have moved to the age of AI, with exciting revolutions happening every day, when we look forward to a great future ahead of us, we must look for a healthy one. When we are able to live more than 40 years in one lifetime, we must also be able to live without pain and misery. I wish I could have saved my grandmother. I wish I had that knowledge at the time, but I saved myself. I will live with this trauma, but I won't tie my legs anymore. I will simply stand up and move my body. Now, when you see someone, your family, your friends, or your loved one in pain, and you want to help them by saying, "Hey, can I get you some medication? Or can I bring you to a doctor?" Don't forget to add, "Hey, let's go for a walk.